It's hump day. We've made it halfway through a short week today. Or short week this week. Most of us were off on Monday. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you guys are ready for today's project because y'all, this one is going to be a really, really good one, especially for those who may be here that want to start learning the basics of sewing. Now, I want to start out with a caveat. I know that there are a lot of crafty people in our hemisphere, in our universe, that are expert sewers. I'm going to preface this by the fact that I am not an expert sewer, sewist, whatever you want, seamstress, but we are going to be making these super cute mini knot bags that pretty much anyone can make, especially if you are wanting to start learning how to sew. This is a really good one to work on straight seams. Learning how to work with your machine. This is a really, really good beginner project. So we're going to be making this today, and y'all, there's really not necessarily a maker's gonna learn pattern for this one, but if you are interested in learning how to sew, we do have a basics course, a sewing basics course within our membership, and it is called Sew Skilled. And if you are ready or if you want to learn the basics of sewing, you can grab our 7-day trial membership to MGL Plus, and you can get access to that sewing course immediately. So this is what we're going to be making today. Let's go ahead and go overhead and talk about everything that we are going to need to complete this project. I am very, very much zoomed in, and we very, very much need to be zoomed out for this project. So, as you can see, here on the table, we have a few things. Let's start off with your fabric. You do need to have some type of fabric. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I do think that a cotton fabric like this is going to be easier to work with. This is probably, and this one is also cotton, but it is more of like a linen feel, but we have a fabric of your choice. Now you are going to need 40 inches by 14 inches. So you can see here, let me pull this into view. Bloop. We have our 40 by 14 already laid out and clipped here, which we do have a little bit, I was looking right here, we're maybe a little bit off. Now it does help with this one because we have the stripes to keep us straight, but this is the size fabric that you are going to need. So to cut this fabric down, which I don't have on the table, you will need we use a self-healing mat. Actually, let me grab one because there's one right here and I'll explain to you what this is. If you are someone who sews, you more than likely already have one. If you do not and you want to start sewing, this is a self-healing mat that you can use your rotary cutter on to cut your fabric, measure your fabric, all kinds of stuff. If you are going to get into sewing, this is a really good piece to purchase. Now, Kathy just asked, if I don't have a sewing machine, can I sew it by hand? I do think that you could sew this by hand if you wanted to. It is going to take you a little bit of time, but I do think that it is possible because all we're doing is we are creating a double rolled hem. That is why it is clipped right now, and I'll go ahead and turn it over. So what we're going to be doing, we are creating a double rolled hem, and I will show you how I do this. Now, if you do have a sewing machine, there is a foot that you can get for your sewing machine that helps you create. It's called a hemming foot. I don't have a hemming foot. I just haven't purchased a hemming foot. I really need one. But if you have a hemming foot, use it for this double rolled hem instead of going through and ironing and putting the clips on it, because it would be so much easier. But if you do want to hand sew it, you still can, because like I said, we're going to be doing a straight seam here, a straight seam here to create our double rolled hem. And in all honesty, I don't feel like you have to create it. It just makes it look a little more finished on the inside. So you can see here, it just there's no like raw edges. It's just a hemmed piece on the inside. So that is why we are creating this hem on the long edges. We're not gonna do a hem on the short edges, okay? So we are gonna be creating it here. So other than your fabric, you will need a sewing machine or needle and thread if you want to try to hand sew it. These clips, if you are wanting to get into sewing, these clips are a lifesaver. So much easier than pinning. You just literally boop, and as you are going, you can just kind of take them off as it goes through the sewing machine. Huh?
I said, and they come in cute colors.
And they do come in really, really cute colors. So I do love these clips. Other than that, what the other things that you are going to need, you are for sure going to need either an iron or a Cricut Mini Easy Press, okay? This is for us to iron these edges down and to iron our seams. Just like, for example, I'll show you. So what we did, let's finish, let me get my thoughts in order. Let's finish our supplies. So we talked about fabric, clips, a sewing machine or needle and thread if you're gonna hand sew it, Cricut Mini Easy Press, and a pressing mat or an ironing board, either one. You don't have to have a Cricut Mini Easy Press. You can use a regular iron on this. We just have our Cricut Mini Easy Press. And that is to help us iron down these edges, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about how we are going to create. Let's just start creating. So first thing you need to do is you need to grab your fabric, whatever fabric you are using, and you need to measure 40 inches in length and then 14 inches from top to bottom. Now this one looks like it has already been cut for me. Beautiful. I have two pieces here. So let's talk about how to create a rolled hem if you do not have a sewing, or if you do not have a hemming foot, okay? So what I do to create my rolled hem is start on either side. We'll start on this side. And what you're gonna do, you want to it needs to be a smaller hem. I would say about 1/4 of an inch. So what I do, and maybe let's zoom in right here so you can see. Beautiful. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this part, you're going to press this down, or you don't really have to press. Once you get started, it will kind of go on its own, but you are literally going to just roll that in just like that. You see how I'm rolling it over? And then I'm going to hold it down, grabbing my Mini Easy Press, if I can get the cord out of the way, and pressing that down, okay? And then all I do is keep moving this along and keeping this straight, because you want to make sure that you're keeping this straight, okay? You're just going to keep rolling and ironing, okay? And let me move this over here so I can. Then you're going to roll, make sure it's straight. Now once you kind of iron this part down, that is where these clips are going to come in very handy. And I'm just going to clip the last place that I ironed right there. Hold that in place. That helps me keep, once again, helps me keep everything straight. And then ironing this down. Now, this is also a project that is going to maybe test your patience if you are a perfectionist, because it is easy to get off, if you will, when you are creating your hem. And this is why maybe a hemming foot, ooh, sorry, I'm getting out of view, would be it would be so much easier. But I wanted to make sure that you all knew how to do it, know how to do this with the bare minimum. So this right here is truly what takes the longest for this bag, is creating your rolled hem. So I'm going to zoom back out for just a minute now that you have kind of saw how that. Deborah, you haven't missed much. Make sure you, just so you all know, you can always go back and rewatch. Right now, all we're doing for our bag is learning how to create a rolled hem by hand if you don't have a hemming foot for your sewing machine. And most beginners may not have a hemming foot, so that's why we just wanted to make sure everybody knew exactly how to do this. So once again, just taking it and rolling it, and after you have rolled some, then you're just going to come in here and iron that down like that. Okay? Now, like I said, this takes the absolute most time for this project, which is why I'm going to take this, and we have one that has already been pressed and clipped. Now, zoom back out so that you all can see this. And here is where we are at. Now, do you need this many clips? Not necessarily. I'm probably going to take a couple out. You can see we've actually pressed this one a little while ago, so it's not as pressed down. So I'm just going to take a couple clips out before I take it over to my sewing machine. I'm just going to go through and make sure that I press this one more time. We'll take this clip out. Beautiful. So now we're going to start with this side. So I'm going to come over here to my sewing machine. Now I do have blue thread in here, so I need to go ahead and take my blue thread out before we get started. And I need to take my blue bobbin out. So for those that may not know, you have, when you are, where's it at? There we go. Okay, so with a sewing machine, you have your thread that goes through your needle, and then you have your bobbin thread. So this is a bobbin, and this is your regular thread that goes on top, okay? So, and it's gonna be dependent, each sewing machine is a little bit different, but to place your bobbin in, there is normally a diagram. Do you all see this diagram? It shows you exactly how to place your bobbin in, and each sewing machine is going to be a little bit different, okay? Yes, Deborah, if you don't have a sewing machine, you could use Heat and Bond if you wanted to. Just know that because we're making a bag, Heat and Bond is going to be a little, you could probably use Heat and Bond Ultra, but with it, if you want it super sturdy, we do need to make sure it is sewn. So I'm going to place my bobbin thread in here according to my directions. Here we go. Here it is. Wait, give me just a second. Okay. Boom. So I have a hook here, and then you bring it around here, and it kind of cuts it off right there. Now once you have finished that, we're going to place our bobbin cover back on. And then now I'm going to thread my machine, and I left my, let me go grab that. I left my needle threader out here on the table. One thing that I found to be a lot easier is if you use a needle threader, the eye of my needle is super, super small. So what I have done is I have I don't know if y'all can see this. I have bent my needle threader, you see that? So that I can come like behind my needle, because you want your thread to go from the front to the back of your needle, not the back to the front. So that's why I've bent my needle threader so that I can kind of place it here. Ugh. Y'all, I'm trying to show you but also see myself. So now I have my needle threader here. It's through the eye of that needle. And now I'm just going to go through here, here, up, hook it down, and then right through here. Now, one thing that I can't do, I can't see your comments right now, but we do have Sadie mic'd up so that she can feed me any questions that you guys may have with this project. Oh, this is such a weird angle to try to not be in the shot, but also try to thread this needle. Okay, beautiful. And then I like to put mine off to that side. Okay, now we are going to start the hemming process and creating our rolled hem. So to do this, I'm going to pull my chair in. And if I need to move this machine around so that you all can see a little bit better, I can. But I also need to be able to see it as best as I can and keep my stuff straight. Okay, I think this is good. So what you're going to want to do, you need to lift your foot. This is our foot. We have to lift our foot and make sure our needle is raised. Okay, what you're going to do from there, you are going to place your fabric just right there where the needle is going to go in. Put your foot down to secure it. Then you are going to lower your needle into the fabric, okay? Just like that. Now, one thing that I do see a lot of beginners do, and one thing that I was very, very bad at doing at first, is not letting the sewing machine do its job. So, and I am gonna have to straighten this out where it's kind of straight to me. That way I can keep this fabric straight. You want to let the sewing machine do its job and let it pull it through. You are just the guide. So you do need to make sure that you are keeping everything as straight as possible and making sure that there is no tension on the fabric, because if there's tension, it's going to pull it this way. So you really want to make sure that you are just kind of guiding it and making sure that it stays straight. Another thing is, I highly suggest, if you are new to sewing, take your shoes off to feel the pedal. I know it sounds silly, but I like to call it driving my sewing machine barefoot is insanely important, because you can feel the pressure that you are putting on the pedal, versus if you have a shoe on, it's harder to tell. So I like to take my right shoe off to drive my sewing machine. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start slow. Okay, I'm going to do a couple stitches forward. Then, you all can't see it, right here is my back stitch. I am going to, push this down and back stitch to the top of my fabric, then let it go. Now I'm going to pull this back over here so I can see it, and then we're going to start driving Miss Daisy. Okay. Now, one thing that I am doing with this is I have the actual thread pretty close to this edge right here, because when we come back and double this over, for you to not be able to see that, I'm going to sew on the outside. So you'll see my first hem is going to be really close here. That way I have more room on this inside piece so that my thread doesn't show on the outside of the bag. It's all gonna make sense. It'll all come together. Just bear with me. So you just want to make sure that you are doing it somewhat close to the edge. Now I'm probably gonna stop talking.
If anyone has questions, drop them in the chat.
Hold on just a minute, I can't really hear. What was your question?
I'm talking to these peeps. I said if they have
cool.
questions.
Sorry guys, I'm really trying to, let me see if I can move you. I'm trying to not get my shoulder in the way, but my shoulder keeps getting in the way. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry guys. But do you see how right through here, do you see how I have more room on this side versus how I kind of did it closer to this edge? That way I can come back in right here and then I can sew it together right here. Okay? Okay, we're gonna change the angle of this for just a second. Let me see if I can fix this so I can, whoa.
Wow.
What did I just do?
A little detail shot.
A little detail shot, what happened?
You could count the fibers. Whoa.
Whoops. I'm so sorry, guys. Can they
You're just
see
here
even
for the
see
ride.
that?
I think it
It
looks
doesn't
fine.
look focused now.
Yeah,
Let me try to focus
it's
it.
manual focus.
How do you manually focus?
If you turn
Whoop.
on the camera. Wow.
What did I just do? What am I doing, guys?
That looks good though.
Okay.
Maybe
Maybe we're
that'll
back.
work.
Maybe we're back. Okay, maybe we're back. Can y'all? Okay, cool. I'm so sorry, guys. This is a very new angle for us.
It's so new.
And then when I get to the end, I'm going to go to the edge. Then I'm going to do the back stitch. And then forward. And then we're done. And you're going to raise your foot. Then I'm going to cut that off. And here is our hem.
So good. You did it really straight.
Well, that's what I was saying. So this is a really good project if you have a hard time keeping a straight line. This is a really good project to help you work on that. Because pretty much you're just doing, now I got a little bit off right. Got a little bit off right up there.
But for the most part, it looks good.
For the most part, it's fine. And now I am gonna go back. Let's go back over here because I'm gonna go back and press this. So we'll go back overhead. So this one is not pressed super well, and you can see that like this part, yeah, it is, it's just okay. It's just okay. So this part is not, it was coming up a little bit, so that's why pressing is so important when it comes to sewing, y'all. That is one time you should not skimp. Like, don't skimp on your ironing and your pressing, because that is going to ensure that you get, why does this easy press keep going off? It goes off way too fast. So I'm just gonna move this one down, and I'm just gonna make sure, I'm just gonna repress all of this real quick, because it's not pressed as much as I feel like it should be. I'm also going to take this one off. Now this side is easier because we do have one of these straps that kind of help us keep it straight. So thank you, Tony. I also love my nails this time. I think they're so cute.
That's so cute.
Fun fact about me, when I was little, I was deathly terrified of ladybugs. I call them ladybugs. Ladybugs.
I like that better.
And my mom said that we were living in Durham, North Carolina at the time. And I think my grandmother, you know when ladybugs get in the house and they're everywhere. Literally everywhere.
Infestation.
Well, my grandmother, at my grandma's house, she had a bunch that were dead, like in the windows. And when we went back home after visiting her, I had a nightmare. Anyway, I love them now, but when I was little, I was very much deathly afraid of ladybugs. Okay.
So funny.
Back over here. Back to our sewing machine. I'm gonna move all my clips that I was just working with out of the way. Now, one thing that I personally like to do is I like to keep my extra fabric on the outside of the machine, if at all possible. I don't like to bunch it up inside here. So instead of sewing it, let's say, this way, where all my fabric is on the inside, I try my best to keep extra fabric on the outside, like I said, if at all possible. So, once again, now this one, I'm gonna use the stripe to keep me straight. So this is gonna make it so much easier for me. Remember, foot down, needle into our fabric, making sure everything is straight. Shoes off, or one shoe off. Couple stitches forward, hit your back stitch, then we're gonna back stitch to the edge. That's just to reinforce our hem. And then we are going to sew away. I've gotten off just a little bit somehow. Beautiful. Once again, making sure nothing is bunched so that we can keep it straight. I'm sorry, I'm getting in the way again. Maybe I'll go this way, like this. Oh, I started getting off again. You can see that. Oop. Whatever. This is why it is very, very important to keep all of your fabric straight. And I did have to change like my normal position. If you were just doing this yourself and you could be all up in your sewing machine, I'm trying to make sure that I don't cover this guy so that you all can see. So mine is just a little bit crooked and a little bit off, but we're going to make sure we get it back on. There we go. So if I do get off a little bit, this one is definitely not near as straight. We're not going to look at it. It's just an inside hem anyway. But if I get off, what you can do is just kind of not pull, but just kind of angle your fabric a little bit to where you need to go. That way you can get back on and you can straighten it up from there. I'm still not straight right here. Now we've reached the end, so we're gonna back stitch, and then now Tara Reid uses leader fabrics so that you can go straight into it. I have yet to really perfect using a leader fabric. Also, if you all want to learn how to sew more and better, Tara Reid is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yes. We love Tara.
So good.
Yeah, this next one, this one is not good. I don't even want to show you guys that. That's horrible. Okay, so let's go back over here and let's go to camera 1. So now this is where you are at, okay? So we have a rolled hem on both the long edges. What we are going to do now is we are going to put the knot in the bag, okay? So we're going to take this fabric. I like to find my middle point. Right here. Now this one, this is going to be the inside. So go overhead. So where your hem, this is the inside. Some fabrics are patterned and you know what is inside from outside. Here is one that I created that has a pattern on it. I didn't cut it down to 40 inches. It's way long, so this up here is a lot, this hole is a lot larger. Go back to 1. You can see this is a lot larger. It kind of looks a little bit weird because it's such a small bag with such a small hand, or such a larger handle. But this one was longer than 40 inches. So if you have a pattern fabric, you have, go overhead, you have a back side and a front side. This one, this fabric does not have a back side or a front side. However, your back side is going to be where you just made your hems, okay? So what we're gonna do now, let me zoom back out. Whoop, beautiful. I'm going to kind of line my fabrics up. Now this is not gonna be perfect, and that's okay. You can fix the knot later, but I wanted to get a general idea of where the center point is, and then I bunch it up here, okay? So we have it here, and we are going to create our knot. Like this, and boom, just like this. Now Now I know this looks silly, but just hear me out.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. We can always go back and fix this knot to where it's at. So let me use this one as an example. If you don't like where the knot is, you can always loosen this knot and kind of move it more to one side or the other to center it. Okay, so that time I moved it a little further that way, but you can always recenter your knot. Okay, so we have our knot here. Now what we are going to do is we are going to turn, make sure we are doing outside to outside. So you may have to kind of work with your fabric just a little bit. Here is my outside. And here is my outside. So and it might be easier to lay it out like this. So this has the hem on the bottom, and now this side has the hem on the bottom. It looks like a big bow. So now what we're going to do is we are going to line up our corners. Now we do need to snip, you do need to snip all of your extra strings, okay? We're just going to make sure we snip them all off so that they don't get in the way. It doesn't look bad. Now we're not going to put a hem on this bottom, okay? So we're doing front side to front side here, like this. That way we have our hems there and there, okay? Now we're only going to focus on one side at a time, because we don't need to worry about this side yet. We can fix it and line it up and then readjust the knot later, okay? Now, if you are going based off of the, if you're going based off of the measurements that we gave you, which was 40 inches by 14 inches, then you need about a 6.5 inch seam here to here to give you room to, so here's a good example. So 6.5 inches here is going to give you room to kind of put this on your wrist. These are also great farmers market bags, by the way. Phenomenal farmers market bags. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to line these up right here. Okay, like this. I am going to grab a measuring tape. Where is our measuring tape? Here's one. And I'm just going to measure 6.5 inches here. And I'm going to place a clip right there at the 6.5 inch mark and just kind of pull that measuring tape out. Okay, so it's actually pretty small where you are going to. It's not a large seam here. Now, here is the next thing that you need to kind of know and see. So you want this seam to go on the inside of your hem seam, okay? So we want to go on the inside of that, because if you go on the outside, when you pull it open, you're going to be able to see that seam where you have hemmed. So we want to go on the inside of the seam and make sure that way we don't see that extra, we don't see where we sewed that hem together, okay? So back over here to our sewing machine. Once again, I'm going to pull this to the back My foot keeps popping. It's been popping off the last little bit. Let me put my foot back on. Also, one thing I want to encourage those who may be starting sewing, you don't have to have a super expensive machine. I think this was like the cheapest Brother machine that you can get at Walmart, and it serves me very well for what I do, which is honestly not that much, but I do love this machine. Okay, let's try to keep my shoulder out of the way. So once again, we're going to go to the inside of this seam that we've already sewn. We're going to drop our foot down. Also, we're going to drop our needle. Try to make sure our thread doesn't and also that I don't lose this thread. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I hold these together, forward, and then back stitch, and then forward. Then I'm going to go about 2 or 3 more stitches here, or maybe a little bit more than that, and back stitch. And then raise my needle, raise my foot, pull this out and cut this off. And now I will just trim these. So let's go back over to our overhead. Zoom in a little bit. So I'm just going to trim these and these, and you can see how it is starting to come together. So there you do not see where you have hemmed it. That's why it's important to go to the on the inside of that hem, okay? So we've got one side done. Now let's focus on this side, and we are going to once again line this side up. This may be a little bit off. We're not going to worry about it, but we're going to line this side up. We're going to grab our measuring tape again, and we're going to measure 6.5 inches. Or if you wanted to, you could get a straight edge and just go straight across. I bet I don't have mine out here. I don't. It's in there. Let's just go ahead and looks to be about right here to here. Let's zoom out so y'all can see. Here's where I stopped. That looks about even to me. So we're going to, let me just double check and make sure. Looks to be pretty close to 6.5 inches. Okay. I do need to line this bottom part up just a little bit more. This corner was off, and I'm going to clip some of these threads too to get them out of my way. Now, once again, if you have come into this live and you are late to the party, no fear. Just so you all know, if you want to learn basic sewing, we do have a basic sewing course inside of our MGL Plus membership, and we are offering, let's go over to our sewing machine, and we are what is going on here? Why does this keep happening? This is how, I don't know. There we go. It just keeps popping off. For those experienced sewers, what can I do for that? Now, this is one where you kind of have to put the fabric inside because you don't want to start on this side and go down. I mean, it would be harder to start from this side and go down, I would assume. So this is one where I am going to have to kind of bunch this up and put it through there. But thankfully, we're down to not as much fabric to keep straight, so it's not as hard to put this through the inside. So once again, placing this here, lowering my foot. I'm going to pull my string out some, my thread, because when you lower your needle, it does pull some thread up, and there have been multiple times where I've done that and not been paying attention, and it's just completely unthreaded my needle. So forward, and then back, and then forward again. Ooh. Raise your foot. Snip it off. Pull it out. And now, the next part that we need to do, we'll go back overhead. This is a lot of back and forth, okay? So now what we need to do is zoom back out, because here's where we're at, but we do not want to sew across here yet. What you need to do is pull it opposite here. You're going to line up your seams. Now this is where I'm going to press one to the left, and then the other one I'm going to press to the right. This just allows for less bulk. You don't want to press both seams going the same way. You want to press one going one way and one going the opposite way. So I'm going to press, I'm going to line up my seams here. I'm going to press this one going that way, and then I'm just going to make sure that one stays on that side, okay? So now, I swear this easy press is about to get on my nerves. I'm just going to press these down just to make sure that they lay flat, okay? You see that? And now we're just going to sew across the bottom, and then I'm going to fix this knot because it is more toward this side than this side, but we'll fix that here in a minute. So what we're going to do now is we are going to come over here back to the sewing machine. And then I'm going to probably do, looks like this is about 3/8 of an inch right here. Once again, we're going to lower, keeping our thread not tangled. Lower our needle there. You may want to, right here on the seams, if you wanted to keep a clip on it, where's it at? It wouldn't hurt, but I wouldn't clip this whole bottom piece. There's no need in clipping the whole bottom piece. So now, once again, forward and then back stitch. And then forward again. Now when it comes to your hems right here, you just want to guide this under your foot. Can you all see that? Now, I know I'm not talking to our experienced sewers. I know you all know what you're doing, but if you are a beginner, I like to speak to everyone here as if they are all beginners. And then back stitch, and then forward. And we're gonna lift our needle up. Cut that off. Now we're ready to come back and we're ready to flip it and fix our knot. But before we do that, overhead, you always want to make sure you trim all of your threads as best as possible. Don't completely cut them off, but we're going to trim all of our Ugly threads. Ugly threads. Okay. And then we're going to flip. Get those corners out.
Look.
Flip our knot. And then we're going to, now you can reposition your knot. And how you're going to do that is you are going to loosen this up. Yeah, a 10-minute bag, that has taken an hour to make. Yes, this should only normally take you 10 minutes. But because we had to go through it step by step, it takes us a little longer. Dun, da, da, da.
So cute.
Go to the front. Look how cute. Like, imagine taking this to the farmer's market, grabbing some fruits and veggies,
Stop it.
sticking it in your little bag, and going on your day.
I'm obsessed.
I love
need
it.
one.
Well, do you need this one? Now, if you want my honest opinion, let's go overhead. I actually feel like we probably could have gone a little bit, hold on, let me fix this. It's also, I feel like I want it to go more this way. I need to. What you can do is you can loosen this knot up like this. Beautiful. That looks a lot better.
Good.
If you want my honest opinion, I feel like I could have gone a little bit higher on this, but also you just need to make sure you leave room to put your hand through it. But if you wanted to go more than 6.5 inches on this bag, you can. Okay?
That's so cute.
Yes, Nancy, if you wanted to, you can, before you put this one together, you could zigzag the bottom instead of a straight stitch. You could zigzag the bottom to prevent the fraying from happening, and that's just going to make it look even more finished as well. Okay? Kathy says it would be super cute in a lemon material. Absolutely. So cute. That would be great for a yarn bag on the go. It would. There are like so many things. We'll go back to one. There are so many little things that I feel like you could put in this and just kind of have it. If you have extra fabric, try it out. Y'all, I am obsessed with this. And literally, it should not take you an hour. It has, like I said, it has taken us an hour because we're going through it step by step. This should take you 10, 15 minute tops, especially if you have a hemming foot. It'll take you no time at all. Like, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight seams, because we have 2 hemmed edges, then we bring those 2 together, 4 or 3, 4, and then the bottom is 5. That's it. There you go. Thank you guys so much. Or you could do a French seam so the raw edge is encased. Yes, you could do a French seam as that. A spa purse. Y'all have the best ideas for some of the things that we come up with, but all of these are phenomenal. I just think this is such a cute little bag. You don't have to have a pattern. Just remember, 40 inches by 14. 40 is 40 inches in length, 14. If you want to do it bigger, you can do it as large as you want. If you wanted to do like a wider bag, you could do more than 14 inches. Yeah, because that would be You could do more than 14 inches if you wanted a wider bag, but I just think this is a super cute, easy project, especially if you, like I said, if you are a beginner and you're working on your straight seams. This is a good one to work on straight seams. So thank you guys so very much for being here with us today. I have had a blast. If you are new and you're not part of MGL Plus and you want to get your hands on that Sew Skilled course, it is a very basic course. Make sure you jump in on our 7-day trial membership for MGL Plus, and you can definitely get in there and check that out. And also grab you some cut files, because how stinking cute would it be to have like a little cut file or a monogram on this?
Be really cute.
I mean,
So
so many ways you could take this. So once again, thank you all so much for being here. We will see you back here on the channel